Kevin had an idea.
Kevin.
We had an idea that we're gonna give our funeral talks for you guys right now, because everyone thinks how nice it would be to hear the tributes they get at their funeral, but they don't get to hear them at their funeral. No. I thought it would be nice if we went around and shared, well, at least, I guess the blood descendants, the in-laws are exempt if they want to be, but to share a few memories of Mom and Dad in honor of your 60th anniversary.
And your 80th birthday.
And your 80th birthdays, which both happen to be today. Yeah.
At least as far as you can remember, they're all today.
It's a coincidence. So, should I start?
Yeah.
Okay. I had, do we have to look into the camera?
No, just talk.
Okay. Go behind my mom and dad, and it looks like they're looking.
Does your camera have enough memory to do all this?
Well, if you stop asking questions, it might.
Probably be short.
Yeah, we're going to try and keep it kind of short.
Yeah, we'll keep
Maybe
it short.
Maybe it will, darn it.
So, one instance I remember, I think I was in middle school, and I was mowing the lawn, and despite Dad's repeated warnings to me to always clear the lawn so I didn't run over anything, I thought that the garden hose laying across the lawn was probably low enough that the lawnmower wouldn't cut it, that I could just go over it. So I just mowed over the garden hose, and it turns out it wasn't low enough, and the hose just cut in half. And I was pretty terrified at that point, so I went in the garage and I did a patch-up work with some wire and some tape, and moved the hose from the fountain, the drinking fountain. Do you remember we had another, like, hose or a faucet over by the fence? So I moved it farther away. I thought I could kind of hide it there. And I realized I probably wasn't going to get away with it, so I went and confessed to Mom, because that seemed a little less intimidating than telling Dad. And then I had to wait the whole day till Dad got home to find out what my punishment was going to be. And when Dad got home, Mom took him aside in the room, and I knew what she was telling him. And then Dad called me, and I don't even remember if it was right then or if it was later, if he made me sweat it out a little longer. And I went in, and I was terrified that I was going to get a big punishment. Dad told me that he loved me more than a garden hose. And that was if you just say that by itself without the background story, it doesn't sound very impressive. But it was a big relief to me as a kid to know that Dad cared more about me than things, and that he just forgave me about that. And didn't, I don't think he even punished me. So that was very nice.
Yeah. You didn't have to come home from school and go to bed, right to bed every night for a week.
No, was that your punishment?
Matt, he wasn't playing with Matt.
Maybe you guys had softened him up a bit. Was that?
I think we've learned the advantages of being the youngest member of the family.
Well, I would say cutting a garden hose is a little less risky than playing with matches.
Playing with matches in the basement? What's wrong with that? I thought that was a pretty reasonable place. It was under the stairs. It was all cement, other than the framing, the stairs themselves.
And I remember Mom reading the Book of Mormon with me in the mornings before school. That we split it up in I don't remember, 10 sections or something, and we read through, and I learned of Mom's great love for the Lord and the scriptures through that. And we had a very memorable but not repeatable discussion about circumcision that came from that scripture reading together. Mom tackled that, and I was like, wow, that's impressive, I guess. I don't know. But I appreciate you two and the great examples you've been, and patience and love and testimony and forgiveness and everything of that sort. So thank you. Love you.
Love you too. We still love you.
More than a garden hose.
More than garden hose.
Thanks.
They love you more than the station wagon.
Are we going in reverse age order, or are we just going around
No,
the
let's
room?
do the kids.
Okay.
Because of the memory.
All right. I have a talk prepared.
Do you hear the funeral talk?
No, I... Get that thing out of my face.
Nice shirt, by the way.
Yeah, like this shirt.
Oh, wow.
No, I just wrote down a couple of quick memories after we mentioned we were going to do this, and one of them with Mom is that every night I would ask for a drink of water, just I think to avoid going to sleep probably, and she'd come down and it was in our old houses where I remember it, and she'd bring it down, and she'd stand there by the bed, and she'd do something with her fingers, just kind of like rustling her fingers and singing Mockingbird Hill as I sat there and slowly drank my glass of water. She patiently waited for me to do that. I always thought that was pretty sweet of her to do that, even knowing that I was probably trying to avoid going to sleep. But I also remember the one time she tried to get up on the kitchen counter in the corner when she tried to jump up, and she couldn't quite get up, and she's kicking her legs to try to get more air. Get up on the counter.
I remember that.
That was just kind of funny to remember that. She also chased me under the table one time when she was trying to spank me, and I was trying to get away from her. I was amazed that she was as agile as she was. But my biggest memory with Mom is that she came to everything that I was in, whether it was a baseball game or a band concert or getting married. No matter how insignificant it was. No, she came to everything that I was in, and that always meant a lot to me, that everything that we were in, that she was always there, and I appreciate that very much. And with Dad, I remember I used to go meet him at the corner by Zion's Bank, across from that, and then he'd ride the bus home from work, and I'd ride my bike, and then I'd ride home and just talk to him each day coming home from the bus stop. And that was always fun to do that, and just wait there for him. And one day I remember coming home, and I got up the courage to confess to him that I'd sworn that day, and I swore. And he said, well, he says, I've done that once. And I think he said he'd done it more than that, but I was kind of relieved to know that Dad was human after all, and that he wasn't perfect. But the other thing is, he'd always play catch with me every day after work. And we'd go out in the backyard, and even though he was tired, he'd throw me high flies after high fly after high fly. I'm amazed I'm not a professional baseball player with how many throws he made, but I love that. I just love going out in the backyard and having him throw me grounders and high flies, and That was a neat thing. But my last thing is Dad, when he was stake president, his last talk. She'll record these. He talked about the hymn, "Sweet is the Work." And Dad's always loved work. And whether it was working around the house or church work or working at our houses, coming and doing projects for us. I don't know if Carrie lets him do projects at his house, but the rest of us. But he's always loved work, and it's always a great tribute that I watch to see him. Even now he stays active and has little projects going on. But the biggest thing is that last state conference talk was even released. He talked about how sweet the work of the Lord was and how much it meant to him. So, love you, Mom and Dad.
We love you too.
So I think it's hard to think of just a few memories, but I have so many memories of Mom. Like Wade, I remember that Mom was always there for everything, and I remember her always being a room mom and bringing cookies to class, and I remember homemade bread, and that will be my comfort food till the day I die, like probably everybody in here, that Mom always made homemade bread. And she took me places when she went to visit older people and people that were sick, and when she'd take food down to Uncle Pete, and I really thought he was my uncle for a long time. He lived on Oak Street. It was just this poor old guy that lived by himself, and we'd take him food, and Ruby and all the people. Mom's just a good person and a good example for everyone. And I remember Dad when I was sick, and I was 8, and we got CTR rings, and I kept losing my CTR ring over and over and over. And one time and they told me I couldn't keep losing it, that they weren't going to keep getting me new ones. But one time I was sick, and before Dad went to work, he gave me a blessing, and when he came home, he brought me a new CTR ring, even though he said he wasn't going to bring me anymore. And I remember one time for family night, we went to Deseret Book. We met Dad, because Dad worked uptown, and we met Dad up there, and he bought us all a book. We all got to pick out a book. Do you guys remember that? For family night. And I picked out Anne of Green Gables, and I loved it, and I read it in a couple of days. And so then he went back and he bought me the sequel, because I wanted to read the sequel. But I shared when we had our family Thanksgiving that one thing I love about Mom and Dad, one thing I love about Dad is Dad enjoys the little things in life. He gets really happy about just little things. It doesn't take something huge like this, even though I know this means a lot to you to make Dad happy. And sometimes when I find myself enjoying just the little things in life, I know that I get that from my dad, and I appreciate that. And I shared that Mom is the most Christ-like person I know. In Relief Society, they asked us one day, who's the most Christ-like person you know? And I was kind of surprised that everybody didn't say it was their mom, but I raised my hand and said it was my mom. And Debbie Newell's in our ward, and she was nodding and stuff. And after I was talking to my girls, and I said to Amber, who's the most Christ-like person you know? And she said, well, you are. And I said, no, it's Grandma. And she said, well, everybody thinks it's their own mom. And I thought, well, that's so sweet. So then I called Chelsea, and I said, who's the most Christ-like person you know? And she said, it's Grandma. And I said, really? But she said I was second. So I learned one of my kids is sweeter and one of them's more honest. But I think Mom and Dad are truly, truly examples of Christ-like love. And I was going to read the scripture I'm going to read at your funeral, but it talks about going to the grave and stuff, so I'll pass on that. It's in Enos, but it does say that there are mansions prepared for you in heaven, and I'm sure that there are, and I hope you live another 25 years.
Maybe they're cruise ships prepared for her.
And I love you guys.
Am I next?
Yeah.
Am I the next oldest?
Yep.
I was thinking about Mom and Dad and got thinking about how they always took us on vacation.
Oh man, you're still in line.
That's the advantage of being younger. So, and they're still taking us on vacation. That's pretty cool. But not all the vacations were super fancy. We did go like to Disneyland. I remember going to Disneyland. The first time we went, they gave you books of tickets that had different values for different rides that you could go on. And they've changed since then. But we went to the Grand Canyon and Bryce and Zion one year, and we went to Mesa Verde a couple of times, and we went camping a couple of years. I'm guessing those were leaner years when there wasn't as much money to spend on family vacation that year. And they had to have a lot of patience because Kevin won't remember any of this because his family vacations were different, but we all would get in the station wagon and it had the back seats that went up, so the one in the back faced backwards and the one in the front, of course, faced forward, and there was an area between them that we called the pit, and we'd put sleeping bags and stuff in there. If you were, I think if I remember right, that was where you wanted to be because you could lay down
Yeah, I like sitting in the pit.
and take a nap, you know, in the pit. But if you weren't in the pit taking a nap, you were probably fighting with your siblings. So I think Mom and Dad had a lot of patience to take us all over, you know, and do family vacations and make memories. And I haven't been very good at doing family vacations every year, but we've tried to do some big memorable ones that I think our kids will remember. So I appreciate you taking us on vacation. I appreciate you continuing the tradition and encourage you to continue the tradition even more in years to come. And I guess I'll attribute a lot of I don't know who planned them, whether Mom planned them or Dad planned them, or but I do I remember Mom, of course, like everybody else said, being charitable and always giving us a casserole to take down the street to Uncle Pete or take something to Alta Miller or different people that were in the neighborhood. It seemed like you could open the fridge and look and say, oh, a casserole, that's not for you. It's for Uncle Pete. Oh, what do we get? I don't remember, but it wasn't casserole. No, and breaking bread and taking bread to everyone, of course, I think we all remember. And I'm like Natalie, I think the most Christ-like person I've ever met is my mother. And I think that's a good thing. And I love you both very much. And I love all the rest of you and appreciate that you chose to be here with you.
Tell us about being punished.
No, I'm not going to talk about getting punished at your funeral. So I guess I can't talk about it here. I probably did get the most severe punishment, a week in going straight to bed after school and playing with Matthew.
Well, they were in the basement. They were buried in the back behind the garage.
You got punished not for lighting matches, but for being stupid enough to leave your lit matches laying on the floor.
For not covering up the evidence.
Yeah.
We didn't get punished for our stupidity last night, however.
Yeah, but Dad
But-
vouched
but
for
Graham-
your stupidity.
Yeah.
Because I can vouch for his stupidity.
It's true.
When they locked their key in their room. Had to have-
Both our keys in our room because
And
we're
then everybody comes
so
down to the room and
excited.
we're like,
Just show you the pictures of Grandpa getting a stingray spa.
so when the steward came, he vouched for Burton's stupidity.
I think he vouched for both of our stupidity.
Yeah, but you can claim it all.
Okay, Penny.
So when Wade was talking, then it reminded me when he was talking about everyone, or you guys going to all of our things, it reminded me of when you had Kevin and like 2 days later you were there at Hansel and Gretel at Hillcrest to see me, and I just couldn't believe that you came right after Kevin, you had a new baby, and then you came to see me in that. And I don't remember if it was that year or the next year, I came home from Hansel and Gretel and she'd gotten a bunch of extra programs and covered my whole room in them. They were from ceiling to floor was covered with programs. That means not very many people came, I guess, because there were lots of extra programs. But that was fun, and Mom always came to the things. But I don't know how old I was, way back when. I remember Mom and Dad sitting on my bed and trying to get me to sing Little Tom Tinker. He sat on a, how's that go?
Got on a blinker.
Clinker, and he began to cry, Ma, Pa, poor little innocent guy. And you were trying to get me to sing it in a round, and I just, every time you guys would start singing, I'd get messed up. So you told me to plug my ears, so I plugged my ears and we sang the round, but I couldn't hear it because my ears were plugged. But that was pretty cool that you were teaching me how to sing a round, and I don't know why that memory sticks out to me. But the other thing is, I appreciate you taking us camping, because I really enjoyed going camping, and I remember all the setup, you know, Mom would have the soap hanging on a nylon to wash our hands, and we still do that when we go camping. And
She sets up camp the same way you are.
yeah, I know. It's like, okay, this is what my mom would do. I'd put across the rope and hang the clothespins and hang the cups on the clothespins and the towels and things, and the soap on a rope, and Dad driving us everywhere on vacation and taking us to the places Vernon mentioned, California and Grand Canyon and things. Of course, remember at Grand Canyon, in the middle of the night when they had to take Mom to the hospital in Kanab, and so Dad got us all packed up, and we were following. It was pitch black because there's no street lights on the light, you know, on the road going from Grand Canyon, and we just worried about Mom, and she had the miscarriage, but then, you know, later that day we're all playing like nothing was wrong, but that must have been a heartbreak for you. And anyhow, thank you, I love you.
Most organized camping things were Dad's fault. Most organization on the camping things.
Okay, but yeah, I should have given tribute to both of you for that then.
I forgot everything else you said. One thing about Mom and Dad, and I don't know, I realized being around other people that their parents fought. And I remember saying my parents never fought. Maybe they did it behind doors, I don't know. And I'm sure that they fought a lot about me as I was growing up, because I was their challenge in my teen years. But they, I remember them fighting over one thing, and it was a cradle that Dad chopped up. And that just really surprised me, because they never fought. So I don't know if you guys, I don't know if you had some kind of pact that you always did it behind closed doors. The cradle that you chopped up. That's the one thing that I can remember you guys fighting about.
I chopped it up.
You chopped it up, but anyway, I remember a fight about that, but that's all.
It wasn't the Barbie camper, was
I thought all I remember is a cradle that you guys, and that's the only thing I ever remember them fighting about. So I don't know. I always thought, well, maybe they had a pact that they would do it behind closed doors, away from us, but I never heard them fight. And I remember telling my friends that because I'd hear their parents fight when I'd be there. You know, don't your parents fight? No, I've never ever heard them fight. So anyway, I was going to talk about the family vacations, the 4 corners where we all had to get out and stand in a corner at the 4 corners. I think I remember that it was down.
Yeah, that was the only new car I've ever bought.
And it was a yellow Chevette. And through the years I thought, this does not surprise me that Dad had me get a yellow car because he loved yellow. And I remember him driving me to work at Utah Bearing. He dropped me off at the corner. And I don't know if he did it every day because I think I rode the bus sometimes, but often he would drive me up to work. I remember one time sleeping in there. I really didn't want to go to work that day. He dropped me off, and that's when I got hit by the car.
Dropped you off in the car.
They dropped her off across the street, so you were dropping me off after her. And then someone came to my work and they're like, there's been an accident at that corner, you know, someone got hit by a car. And the thought went through my mind, I wonder if it was Carrie. Then I didn't hear anything for a while. And then I got a phone call. You guys called after a while and said it was Carrie.
After quite a while, because she was not happy that she didn't
Yeah, it was several hours later.
Was that when she rolled out of the car into the curb?
No, this was
It was about 20 years later.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I continue to do that.
I think it was one of my college summers, so it was after, yeah.
Moral of that story is don't ever think you don't want to go to work. Yeah, I got out of going to work, but anyway, I remember Mom taking me dress shopping for Christmas. She'd always let us pick out a dress, and I had this little green dress. And one time I got Mary Poppins shoes. I always liked weird shoes, and she let me buy that. I remember getting rain checks at Christmas for Kittle dolls because I'd want like the Rapunzel, and she couldn't find it, I guess, so we'd get little rain checks that said it'd come. I think mostly what everybody else has said, that they just have been very supportive and shown up even in the hotel to Stephen's game for a morning, and then they turn around and go home. And I remember both of them being very Christ-like. They've been a very good example for all of us. And I just appreciate them hanging in there with me through all these years. I've been in some different situations than y'all, but they've always been there for me, so appreciate it.
Any rebuttal?
So who did chop it?
I chopped it up. I was looking for something to chop up, and Dad told me I could, but turned out it was yeah, Dad had told me I could. It was cleanup days, and it was up on a pile, and I chopped it up, and Mom came home. Got pretty upset.
So it wasn't supposed to be on the pile?
It wasn't supposed to be. It was made by her dad, so it was kind of sad.
But you're still together. That's good. You must have forgiven him.
Yeah, that might have been the biggest trial of their marriage.
That or bowling.
Yeah, bowling is not good in marriage. That says try. I am trying.
Dad tried to give Mom advice on bowling.
That never went over
She
well.
told him to shut up.
I beat him once up at Heath, actually.
You don't want Mom to get mad, just tell her to focus.
Don't anybody tell Mom to focus. Doesn't work. I just want to say one thing. Well, at least one of the great joys of any parent's life is to watch their kids do things. And that's one thing we have been very blessed with our kids participating in different things. And I remember once, and this is just not this one, this is an example. When one of you kids were playing baseball down in the Babe Ruth ballpark, you'd play at 5 o'clock or something, and I'd catch an early bus home from work. It would go down Main Street somehow, and I could get off right there and get there just about in time for the ball game. And I come out once and sitting there watching the game, and I thought, this probably is not the best thing to do, to leave work early. If I'd stay at work and work harder and later, I would do better and would earn more money and would get ahead, and we'd have more money so that when we got old, we could maybe afford to do some of the things we would want to do. And I thought, this is what I thought, and this applies to all of your activities, not just this one particular ball game. I thought there's nothing that I would rather do, you know, than sit and watch my kids participate in things. Even when I get older, there's nothing that would compare to that. And so I've learned that in life, that that's the important things. Your kids are the important things, and we appreciate the things that you have done and all the joy and happiness you have brought to us. And one other little comment on Kevin when he went over the garden home. When I was a little boy, in our back pantry area, we had a little set of spring scales. There was just a hook there and a hook on the bottom and a spring that would go down and weigh things, you know. I think they used it to weigh meat or something, I don't know. But it was hanging out there, and I'd play with it and weigh things. And one time I broke it. Oh, jeez. I was just like you, I was just so worried. So I just put it back, you know. And I worried that someday, eventually, my dad would find it. I'd be in trouble. But it went long enough that when Jerry came over one night to borrow our scales to weigh their baby or something like that, you know, no kidding. Nobody had scales like that. It's a simple little scale. My dad went out to get it, and it was broken. I sat there. Nobody knew how it had been broken. He just said, oh, it's broken. So he found out about it, and he never did say anything, who did this, or so I kind of dodged a bullet. Then, but I didn't confess.
I thought you were going to say he loved you more than the scale.
No, he probably, I don't know whether he would have or not. But we do love you more than material things. We love you even more than a cruise. But hopefully a cruise is a little bit of a payback. And this has been this has been one of the highlights of our life. It really is. And we just love you so much and appreciate you so much. Appreciate all of the kids and in-laws and us being able to get together and enjoy each other's companionship and friendship. And it's been a wonderful 60th anniversary and 80th birthday occasion for us.
Dad said the other night, he said, said the other night, now if I died tonight, you tell him I died a happy man. And then he said more than once, this has turned out better than he even thought that it would. And I appreciate Dad because he loves me when I'm honored with him, which is quite often. But I love Dad. I've loved him for a lot of years, long time.
Let's read that little poem on the back.
Oh, I don't have it on.
Oh.
I'd have warned it if I'd known we were doing this. And I have to make one comment on punishments. One time Wade didn't make his bed. He was in junior high. And so I called over, and had him send him home. And I thought, this'll be good. Now he'll come home, or I went over probably. I thought this'll be good. And what it turned out to be was he was a celebrity with all of his friends. Because his mother had called him home. It turned out entirely different than I planned. Because they just kind of laughed
So
about it.
with your younger kids, you went over to the school. Is that what happened with the younger ones, Kevin?
Well,
Didn't Mom go over to the school once for something you'd done or forgotten?
I don't know.
I don't
Did I
know.
laugh?
Well, maybe not.
That's when we found out that all publicity is good publicity.
That's true, but we want you to know that we do love every one of you, and we love all of your partners. We love Erica, and Carrie, and Dave,
And we even love your
and
kids.
Suzanne. And we do love all of your kids.
And your
kids,
and our grandkids,
our great grandkids.
and our great grandkids, which are your grandkids, for some of them.
Yeah, it's,
Have you heard anything from Amber? How's she doing?
She's doing good.
Okay.
I think she went to the doctor yesterday. We're good.
Gonna
Not
make
about to
it.
have
And it-
that.
No, she's not going to have it early. I don't.
well, yeah, it's hard for us to realize that you're really as old as you are and that you have kids and grandkids and stuff, but it's wonderful and we appreciate and love every one of you. Kevin and Wade, Natalie, and Penny. Well, I had to think order. I don't make stuff on order. Vernon and Penny and Gary.
Don't ever start anything you can't finish.
That's right. Anyway, we love all of you.
Don't name our kids and grandkids, okay?
Probably because I could name all your kids. I might mix some of the grandkids and spots. But we appreciate, and we appreciate you organizing your time and your activities so that you could come.
But you gave us plenty of warning, so that was good.
And that was
Dad
Daddy.
for arranging it.
Yeah.
Turn around and take your own picture.
I don't want to think you weren't here.
Should we conclude this service by singing "Sweet is the Word"?
And I think this was Dad's idea because you guys did a 40th and a 50th, and he said, I don't want him to have to worry about a 60th, and this was his idea, so.
Plus, it got us out of town, so nobody else would.
Nobody can come make a fuss over you.
Yeah.
What did you want sung at your funeral?
You are my sunshine.
No.
There's
There's sunshine in my soul.
There's sunshine in my soul today. When they wheel us out, I want all you kids as you walk out behind us. Behind me anyway. Maybe Mom wants you to sing God Be With You Till We Meet Again or some other sad song. You know? I want you to sing There's sunshine in my soul today.
Want us to do a jig too or something?
And we'll be sure and tell the bishop this was my request.
We'll have Trevor outside with his trumpet playing as we leave.
The side door and the sounds of the trumpet will come in. We'll all stand up. Alright. Yeah.
We just stack you up.
What? There's
Okay, sign off.
So today, more glorious and bright, then glows in and the earthly sky. For Jesus is my light, oh, there's sunshine, blessed sunshine, where the peaceful, happy moments roll. When Jesus shows his smiling face, there is sunshine in thy soul.